Hi and welcome to the channel. I'm Tim and this is Run Tall. Now if you're brand new here, welcome to the Run Tall family. I'm really glad that you are here and you found us on YouTube. Now I post running shoe reviews and comparisons and shoe battles weekly, but I post a lot of other videos that are related to running as well. So if you're a running nerd like I am, consider subscribing to the channel. Don't forget to click the notification bell so you'll be notified each time that I upload new content. On today's video, you might have guessed it already, I'm going to be comparing the Nike VaporFly 3, so this is version 3, going up against the AlphaFly version 2. Now, I did purchase both of these shoes with my own money. The AlphaFly version 2, that's going to set you back $275 US, while the VaporFly Next Percent 3 costs $250 US. I did order both of the shoes true to size, and for me, that's a US men's size 9. There's a pretty big difference in weight. Now the AlphaFly version 2, now that came in at 7.8 ounces or 221 grams on my scales. While the VaporFly 3, considerably lighter. These came in at 6.5 ounces or 184 grams. So very, very lightweight racing shoe. Both of these are marathon racing shoes. And so let's talk about fit first. They both fit me perfect in terms of length and width. No problems or issues with that at all. So I would definitely recommend ordering yours true to size if you're considering purchasing either one of these two shoes. In terms of comfort, however, there's a pretty big difference. So let's start. We'll talk about the uppers and I'll hit upon some of the comfort issues that I've had. And I'm going to start with the AlphaFly version 2. Now I've had these quite a bit longer. These came out several months ago and I have over 200 miles on this pair. So that would be 320 kilometers. Lots and lots of miles in these. I really enjoy running in these, but it took me a while to figure out how to lace up the system so that I could run in them comfortably, because they weren't comfortable for me right out of the box. Now these have their Atom Knit 2.0 in terms of the material that they used. It's really pretty coarse to the touch. Doesn't have a lot of stretch, but I did get some stretch over time, after putting a couple hundred miles in these. The width-wise is fine up in the toe box. The areas where I had trouble. Now, this is a booty construction, so it takes a little bit to slip your foot in because they fit pretty tight. So I use the loop here in the back to help me get my shoes on every single time I put these on because I have to. This booty construction is really tight to get your foot into. Once it's in, it doesn't feel as snug, but just getting it on can be a bit of a trick. And then the lace enclosure system, it does a pretty good job, but there's no tongue you have to worry about migrating around because again, it's a booty construction, but you can see that they have this, it's a bit unusual kind of a system here. They got like these laces that you run through, these looped laces, and those run along the eyelet chain here to snug it in and cinch that material together. And you can see that right up there at the start of the eyelet chain where I did have to cinch that material together. And you might think that was one of the issues, was the pain point was there, but it really wasn't. It was at the top of the eyelet chain of all the places. And that's because they have a little extra material up here to give it, some extra support so your laces aren't ripping through. But that extra material and me needing to cinch the laces down so that my foot wasn't sliding forward into the shoe caused me some pain points up here at the top of the upper, right at the top of the lace enclosure system. So that was a bit uncomfortable for me. So much so that I really couldn't run in these more than once, and then I would have to wait a while for that to calm down before I could run in them again. And that went on for a bit. I would say probably the first 50 miles or so. And then I kind of figured out, that I needed to run these a little bit looser. I still was running with a runner's knot or a heel lock knot in the lace enclosure system. But I wasn't cinching that down quite as much, but I did cinch it down pretty tight down here at the forefront of the shoe. And that was because when I first got these, it just felt like when I was going downhill that I was kind of stubbing my toe at the end of the toe box there. But I did eventually, like I said, figure out how to do it, but I was snugging these laces down, really cinching them down hard from the start up to just before the last part of the lace enclosure system. So that's how I was able to run in these. And once I figured that out, I ran in pretty comfortably. The rest of the upper not a whole lot in terms of padding. You know, they have a little bit there in the top of that booty construction to help keep your laces from cutting across the top of your midfoot, but there's not a lot there. And there's really nothing along the collar. And then they've got some back here for your Achilles. And your Achilles rests nicely in here. And I didn't have any issues in terms of rubbing or hot spots around the collar or back in the heel counter of the shoe. Now with the VaporFly, now here they've got kind of a reimagined Flyknit material. It's super lightweight, highly breathable. Both shoes are really breathable. I think the VaporFly is a little bit more breathable. I mean, just look how big those perforations are. So they feel pretty cool underfoot. Lots of room, probably a little bit more room. Definitely feels like there's more room in this shoe because it's a breeze putting these on. This is not a booty construction. It's just a standard upper. And so it just feels like there's so much room when you slide your foot in. It's just a breeze. But you really do need to cinch up the laces pretty good in order to get locked in across the midfoot section of the shoe for certain. But that was simple enough to do. I didn't have any issues with that at all. In fact, the comfort of these right out of the box has been perfect for me. I really enjoy the fit of the upper, as I did with the previous version of VaporFly. Love the fit of the uppers on these, especially that offset lacing system that they use. It just seems to fit the shape of my foot so well. Really enjoy that. Probably a bit more room maybe up in the toe box than what we have in the AlphaFly version 2. Being only 6.5 ounces, you hardly know that you have them on. So you feel really fast just putting these on your feet before you even take a step in them, because they just have that good racing shoe feel to them. Not a lot of padding, just like we saw in the AlphaFly up around here. A little bit more because that bumper style does come around a little bit to the collars of the shoe. Very comfortable. Very comfortable in terms of, the around the heel collar and back in the Achilles. I don't have any heel slippage. I didn't feel like it was running too loose back there. Loose but secure maybe in the heel, I guess. It just feels really good back in the heel cup. Both of them have pretty good heel cups for your heel to set in. You didn't really have any heel slippage. Nothing that was of any kind of concern or caused any kind of hot spots in either shoe. All right, so let's talk about the midsole of these. And I'll start with the AlphaFly because that's the one that has the most tech going on. So in version 2, just like in the first version of the shoe, you've got lots of ZoomX foam. Both are maximum stack heights of foam. And they both have 8mm offsets from the heel to the toe. But they also have within the foam of AlphaFly 2 is a carbon fiber plate, and then up in the forefoot are these air units. Now the air units are really the magic of the AlphaFly, both in version 1 and version 2. And it gives you a very snappy, more of an abrupt bounce, propulsive ride, because when you hit those air units, it really does throw you forward. But it's a pretty abrupt feeling, and if you like that, just kind of bouncing off the ground, that's what you get with the AlphaFly. Works really well for marathon distances, especially up in those latter miles when it helps to keep your legs turning over, especially when they're tired. You get a little bit of help from those air units. Okay, so now with the VaporFly, here you've got their ZoomX foam from heel to toe and then a carbon fiber plate. So no air units in here. The ride is very smooth and snappy and propulsive, but it's not that abrupt bounce that's throwing you forward. It's a bit more of a subtle propulsive ride, but still very quick and snappy. It feels wonderful to run on these. I really enjoy the ride of the midsole of the VaporFly 3. It keeps your legs turning over pretty quick. I think the biggest difference between the ride on these two, especially if you're going to use these for a marathon distance, is you're relying on the air units up here to help throw you forward and keep your legs moving and turning over in your gait, while here they're so lightweight that is what's really going to be paying dividends in the latter miles, is having that almost an ounce and a half less on your feet. And you still have that carbon fiber plate that's giving you that help. It's not giving you that abrupt bounce, like I said, but it's a very smooth transition through your gait. Now, I did run a marathon in the earlier version of the shoe, and these are just better yet. And, you know, they're a little bit softer. I enjoy the ride of these a little bit more than the earlier version of the shoe. So I think they made some really good positive changes in the updates that they made to the VaporFly 3. These are a really solid marathon option. You know, I did well when I ran a marathon in the earlier version of the shoe. And then I moved to the AlphaFly, and I ran the last 2 marathons in version 1 of the AlphaFly because of that propulsive extra bounce that you get off the air units. And it just feels really good and helps to keep your legs moving, as I said. But these are a real contender now. And, you know, they're so much lighter weight, and they got that extra cushion to help protect your legs. And now with, you know, with that plate throwing you forward, and I really like the ride of these. Definitely, if I'm picking between these 2 shoes, I would go with the VaporFly 3 for my next marathon. Okay, so let's flip these over and we'll take a look at the outsoles here. You got lots of rubber here. I think Nike did a good job updating from the previous version, version 1. Now these, I've got about 300 miles in the first version of the shoe, and then I popped one of the air units. And you might have seen that video, The Death of a Super Shoe, when I did a bit of an autopsy and cut the air units off and cut the upper off. Just having a little bit of fun and dissecting that shoe. But what had happened is that I ran the outsole rubber down to the point that it breached the integrity of that air unit, and at that point, of course, they were no longer usable. But these seem to be holding up a little better. I know I had 300 miles is what I maxed out on the version 1, but I already have over 200 miles on these, and I've taken a real close look, and I'm sensitive now to that fact that I don't want to overrun these and pop an air unit up in the forefoot of these, and boy, they're really holding up well. So I think durability-wise, I just don't see the kinds of signs of wear that I saw in the first version of the shoe at this same mark in time. So I think these are going to go at least 300 miles. So I expect to get at least that, what I got out of the first version of the shoe. These, I don't know. I'm a little bit skeptical. As we turn these over, they've got this new outsole rubber design. They say it's thinner. It allows them to give you a little extra Zoom X up in the forefoot. It's got a lot of perforations in there, but that also leaves a lot of holes for that Zoom X foam to get chewed up in. And that's exactly what did happen to me. I think it was like 3rd or 4th run. I picked up kind of a sharp stone in one of those perforations, and it started to chew up that Zoom X foam a little bit. And I could hear it when I ran. I knew when I picked it up because it was digging right in and hitting that carbon fiber plate, and you could hear that kind of screechy sound that hit. And I wondered what was going on, so I had to stop and dig the stone out. And that was a little bit concerning to me too, because if I was using these in a marathon, and that happened to me, I'd be probably a little upset that I would have to stop and dig around to pull stones out of my outsole material. So that's just something to consider. They both have some concerns that way, but I think overall, like I said, this would be my marathon choice. But the durability wise does have a question mark as to value for your money. The Zoom X in the second version of the same shoe went about 150 miles before I had to retire them. I ran a marathon in them. I did a few training miles before I ran the marathon, put them into my training rotation after that because I had about 100 miles on. I got another 50 or so in training, and then I had to retire them because they weren't any fun to run in anymore. So I only got about 150 miles on the second version of this shoe, and I don't think I'm going to get much more out of these, maybe 200. So when you talk about bang for your buck, you're going to pay $250 to get 200 miles, or you can pay $275 and maybe get 300 plus miles. So that's what I say. Maybe it's not the best value for your money, but I think if you're looking to set your personal best, this might be your best choice. Just wish it was a little bit more durable. I'd love it if I could get 300 miles out of a pair of these. I just don't think that that's in the cards. Okay, so that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it for you. As always, run tall, run strong, be kind of one another. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time right here on Run Tall with Tim.